Exactly 1 year ago today was massive for me, as it was my first race back after a 3-month long injury. And you guys know the story. I ended up running a 5K for fun called the Bunny Boogie 5K, and I ran 17:47. And now here we are exactly 1 year later, and I am 1 week out from running my second 10-mile road race. This time it's the Cherry Blossom 10 miler in Washington, D.C., my old stomping grounds of where I used to go to college. In this video, I want to talk about my 5 favorite races that I've done in the last year and the lessons I've learned from each of those races. I'm also going to tack on 3 of my least favorite races I've done in the last year because I think that they're kind of funny as well. So earlier in the week, I was able to bang out a great 3x2 mile workout. So I quickly want to show you some footage from that workout. So for the 3x2 mile workout, I was repping all of my SOAR apparel, which I absolutely love. And a lot of you guys ask about the shorts, especially, which are probably my most comfortable pair I have by far. SOAR Running has been amazing as they have supported me both as an athlete and a creator as I continue to show my journey of trying to become as good of a road runner as possible. And I'm not gonna lie, people, my SOAR Running kit is my favorite kit that I've ever run in, and I run in so many throughout the years. What I think is really cool is that you guys have literally seen me rip local 5Ks with my SOAR kit on, and big races like that 10-mile race I did, and then more local races, and then finally, obviously, the big half marathon, I was repping SOAR as well. So they have really been there for the whole journey. So I'm gonna leave a link down below in my description if you are interested in any SOAR running apparel. Good workout. I made sure not to crush, and like put myself in a hole. Still a hard day, but manageable.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Looks smooth.
So in the last year, I've run over 20 different races, all of them having been on the roads, and that is something that I used to never do. You guys know that. I used to never do road races. I only used to do track races. I just want to quickly say that my mentality change is what allowed me to do all of those races and just be a better runner overall. What happened with me is that I was a talented young man for a while who used to run track. My talent eventually ran its course, so I could no longer do the same stuff that used to work. Basically what I'm saying is that I needed to change up everything, and that's not abnormal. So if you're a runner along the way on the journey somewhere and you are doing training that used to work for you but it's not working for you anymore, maybe you should switch up everything and decide to just do a completely different event. So I want to get into the 5 most meaningful races and a lesson from each of those races. So my 5th favorite race from this last calendar year was the Bunny Boogie 5K, where I did run the 17:47 5K. And that's because that's really where my journey began. And I just trusted that I needed to go with my gut and have fun out there and not care about the result. In the past, I used to care about how I did in all my races. So if I had a bad result, I would be disappointed. But I ripped the Band-Aid off and just said, screw it, let's run a 5K in completely awful shape. I learned a lot about myself because I realized it's okay to not run a crazy fast time every time you go out there, and you have to start from somewhere. Okay, number 4 was the Great Pumpkin 5K that I did this last fall when I visited my family in Connecticut. This was a pretty local race that I would never have done in the past. And I think that the fun part for me and the funny part is that I ended up taking a wrong turn in the race and lost about 20 seconds, but I didn't let that mentally destroy me or get me upset. And I ended up still running a pretty fast time of around 15:19, even with the extra distance. This race was just really fun to be around my family and embrace the local running scene and not feel like I have to take myself too seriously. If you feel like you're in a rut, hop in some holiday races, and trust me, they are all the time. Okay, number 3 was the Renton Park run I did back in June, where I finally broke 15 minutes in the 5K, running 14:52. So I was super pumped about this race because I had called my shot earlier in March that I wanted to break 15 in a 5K, and I was able to come through on the goal, officially complete the Local Legend series. You guys were really happy for me as well. And sub 15 is an awesome time. Super happy with that. After just sort of coming back from a long injury, I was really grateful to be able to run under 15 minutes in a 5K again. And it kind of encouraged me to maybe think to myself, I should take the next step and try to get back into pretty serious running, which I have subsequently done since then. Since running that sub 15 5K, I decided to take a chance and do a half marathon later in the year. My second favorite race of this last year was the Falmouth Road Race, which was a 7-mile race in Falmouth, Massachusetts, which is right in Cape Cod on the East Coast part of the United States. So this race has a lot of meaning to me because it was the first big race I had done since coming back from my injury, and I still wasn't in crazy good shape for it, but I was really enjoying the fact that I could just go out there and compete hard. And again, my family was around for this race, so it was really fun for me. Also, at the time, this 7-mile race was the longest race I had ever done. Previously, the longest race I had done was a 10-kilometer race, so 7 miles is a little bit longer than that. And again, this gave me the confidence to think, okay, you know what? I might be able to do a race that's longer than 7 miles. So just kind of getting out of my comfort zone, doing the Falmouth Road Race, and plus the experience was absolutely phenomenal. There was thousands and thousands of people there. I loved it. All right, and now my favorite race in the last calendar year. I think that you guys are going to know this one. It was obviously the Mesa Half Marathon in February. It was officially my half marathon debut, and I ended up running 65:51, which was so awesome for me. And you guys followed along the whole journey of when we moved to Boulder, and I called my shot that I was going to race a half marathon, and I stuck to my gun, stuck to my goal, and it got me hooked. After doing that race, I really want to keep pursuing elite level road running, so I've had an absolute blast continuing to do high mileage training, and now I've got another big 10-mile race on the roads coming up, and then plenty more road races in the spring. So this half marathon has meant the world to me. Quickly for fun, I just want to tell you guys about my least favorite races of the last year. It could mean that I was suffering the most, or that it was the least pleasurable race I did, but you'll understand them. So my third least favorite race I've done in the last calendar year since coming back from injury was the Twin City 10-mile race. And that is because this race was by far the most painful race I did in the last year, maybe ever. I got a horrible cramp at like 6 miles and it never went away. I didn't even end up running poorly in the race. I ran about 5:03 minute per mile, but my God, that cramp was so painful, and I just didn't have fun when I was out there. It wasn't a good pain, it was miserable, but I learned a lot of lessons about myself, that I can be tough and that you can get through these longer races even when they are miserable. My second least favorite race in the last year was the Grinch 5K. Now, I know that a lot of you guys thought that video was funny or fun, but I literally couldn't breathe in that Grinch mask. After the race, I was like feeling really weird for the next 3 hours, and it was just awful. That hurt so much because it was just so hot in there. I can't even describe how painfully hot it was. It was miserable. I hated it. And my number one least favorite race I did in the last year was the Yeti Chase 5K that Allie and I did late January, right before the Mesa Half Marathon. I think I ran around 16:21 for this race, and it was just awful. It was like 5 degrees out. We had to put snow cleats on our shoes, and it was so slow, and we both felt so horrible. And this was the last hard effort we did before we did the Mesa Half Marathon. So we were both very concerned that we were not going to be in good shape for the Mesa Half, but we both obviously crushed that race. So the lesson I learned from the Yeti Chase 5K is that sometimes situations are just horrible. When it's 5 degrees out and you have to wear snow cleats in a local 5K race, it's probably not going to feel great, and you just can't worry about things like that. Couldn't be happier about where I'm at in life right now. I owe a lot of it to you guys for sticking by my side, watching the journey, watching Allie and I continue to grow our relationship and our running careers. So with that, guys, get ready for the Cherry Blossom 10-mile race. We're going to try to crush it out there, and then we've got plenty more big races after that.